Good day, good Saturday, good people. We do have the pink on for Breast Cancer Month. Shout out to everybody popping up in the live chat. Excused a little bit of the tardiness, dealing with some health situations, but it is what it is. We are here now. We're about to go in and have a good live stream and just talk about some things that are going around right now, as we will be back in race form next week on the 7th on that Friday. But there has been an outlandish amount of not only criticism, but just some ridiculous amount of praise in regard to Max Verstappen and the situation that took place in Mexico. And so I thought it would be interesting to look at some of the most delusional things that we could see here, on top of looking at a quote or a statement in regards to Max Verstappen himself, which I will also bring into view, and we will bring that up. So big shout out to Mary Beanie in the live chat. Big shout out to Darth. I see you up there in the live chat. Big shout out to Tori Tackling popping in the live chat with us. How you doing, Tori? Man, I hope everything's been good for you, man. And who else we got in here? Let's see who else we got in the live chat real quick. Big shout out to Oscar popping in the live chat. Oscar, I see you as well. Good, sir. I'm going to bring this up because I think it's important that we start with this one first. I do think it's important we start with this one first. So let me get this right, because I did forget to bring this one in. So I'm going to get it dolled up. Darth, I know you popping in. Darth, I know you've been going hard in the paint, in the community, in the comment sections. Darth is typically in the comment sections combating some of the foolery with good factual and good analyst type information. So always good to have a family member in there going at it for those that, sometimes just don't want to deal with I'm just going to say it, don't want to deal with the assholes. Because there are plenty of assholes that are out there. And I'm going to say this before we start this live stream with all the things that I'm about to go into. I do want to say this. I am not talking to all Max Verstappen fans. This does not go for all Max Verstappen fans. This goes for Max Verstappen fans alike that I am going to talk about. So I don't want that to be confused, because I will say this. There are several Max Verstappen fans that are not happy with what has been going on. Galactus in the live chat, Julius Taylor and 083 in the live chat. There are several that are not happy with what has been going on. And they're not happy about what they have been seeing in the sport. So they've been pretty objective, right? So it's fair for me to just make sure I let that be known. I'm not talking about them. But let's go ahead and go into this first post on Max Verstappen right here. All right. It says, between 2021, my first championship year, and now, I haven't changed. I haven't changed. That is what Max Verstappen is saying. He's saying between then and between now that he hasn't changed. Well, that's oddly funny, because I could remember several journalists, several talking heads from Formula One and Sky Sports chattering and clapping and hooray that Max Verstappen is grown. He's growing, he's changing, he's being more mature. He's not as rash, he's not as reckless. Max is just turning into a different type of person. He says right here he hasn't changed. He says, what's going on, Ms. Dino? Says right here, I haven't changed. He says, people just create an image of you and hold on to that image. I've stayed the same, and I'm not going to change because people think something of me. Well, there you go. I'm an asshole. I'm reckless. I'm going to do questionable things on track, and I'm going to drive unfairly a good portion of my career, and none of that is going to change. This is what I'm going to be doing. And I just wonder, because if you are a governing body of a sport and you've watched a certain driver drive a particular way throughout his career, that you can extract and say, for a good amount of that time, he's been reckless. For a good amount of that time, he's done questionable, if not things that are against the rules in a race. We've watched him push people wide. We've watched him aggressively just get to the apex so he could check off a box and say that his car was in a certain position, although out of control. We've watched him put people in drivers in position to feel as if you don't risk your race, and then you're not going to be able to race with me. And so where do you as a governing body stand if you just continue to allow that and a person tells you that I'm not going to change? What's up, Dreads? That would tell me there's no reason for me to change, because guess what? Nobody's doing anything about it. I'm still getting my way. I'm still not penalized to the degree that I should be penalized to. So why would I change? So I want to show that first. That's Max Verstappen's words about himself. That's Max Verstappen talking about himself. So if anybody else is out here trying to advocate that he's changed, he just told you he hasn't. 2021, between 2021, he didn't even go back. He didn't even go back to when he first got into Formula One. He's talking about when he did some of the most egregious things in Formula One, and when he was part of one of the most egregious scandals in Formula One. I'm not going to change. Nothing changed him. Okay, good to know. So we can go in from there. So let's just go in, shall we? I'm good with it. Let's just go in. So here it is. We got a delusional fan right here for us, folks. We got a delusional fan, and I went ahead and clipped the profiles because I don't want to give them any more embellishment or any type of credit or credence that they don't need. Trust me. And plus, I don't want people salting them out and trying to heckle them and hawk them down and stalk them, because they're going to say some stupid shit. When this guy leaves F1, there will be no racing drivers with balls left in the series. I don't even care what your opinion is. He tried. Sometimes it goes well, like humbling both Mercedes and 2021. And sometimes it needs a great save like this, but he tried. Others wouldn't dare. First of all, I don't know any driver that wouldn't try to save the car. Even the worst driver. See, this is where when these delusional ass people say things, and then they say things that you just obviously know is not true. You obviously know it's not true. There's no driver, not even a bad driver, that's not going to try to save the car from being wrecked. So for you to say no other wouldn't dare try, that's cap, and it's a lie. The other thing is this: humbling Mercedes in 2021? What the you talking about? Are you saying that he's complicit with the scandal? Because if that's what you mean, there was no humbling of Mercedes. There was a scandal that took place, and Lewis Hamilton took the blunt blow of the scandal while Mercedes got their Constructors' Championship. So what are you talking about? DG Big Blue Navy, hoorah, in the house. Why would he change everything he has handed to him? True. Facts, bro. So what are we saying there? See, this is where the delusional comments and the delusional people, these are the same type of people that are usually in our comment section. When he leaves the sport, there's not going to be any drivers left with balls. I knew, a lot of people don't say, they say bronze or brains, right? You've heard that, bronze or brains. Being reckless is not totally 100% mean you got balls. I mean, you can have balls to go for something that's reckless. But driving intentionally reckless is just that. It's reckless. It's not necessarily having balls. All right? And there are plenty of other drivers that have balls in Formula One that are willing. I mean, so I guess we're talking about Oscar Piastri doesn't have the gun. They ain't got no dog in him. Is that what you're saying? I guess Kimi Antonelli ain't got no dog in him, because we've seen him do some things that he probably shouldn't have done at that point in time. He should have worked it up. I guess you're going to say Gabriel Bortoleto is not going to have any ball. I guess you're going to say Isaac Hadjar won't have balls? What are we talking about? See, this is what we mean right here. This is what we mean when we see these things. And guess what? I don't care what your opinion is. Well, I guess why should anybody care about yours? He tried. Okay. All right. I got you. Right here, we got a response. And this was a legitimate response to that comment, that post on social media. One guy doesn't make the sport. Drivers come and drivers go. There will always be someone else that comes along and eventually replaces Max. That is true for all drivers. That comment is true in the way that it's structured. Drivers come and drivers go. since the dawn, and it will be until the dusk of Formula One, should that day ever come. It happens in all sports. No great athlete is at the top forever, and no great athlete plays their sport forever. It's true. That's a true comment. And guess what? I hope nobody replaces Max, because if somebody replaces Max, that means we have another out of control, petulant child who throws temper tantrums in the car when he's not first, and he's reckless. I don't think there's a large amount of people that would like another driver to duplicate Max Verstappen's driving style. There are people that are showing their kids right now in karting, don't drive like that guy. He's literally somewhat of a poster board of what not to do. Don't drive like that. Don't conduct yourself like that. And don't say things like that. Matter of fact, don't be like that. Don't be that type of person. Max is so much of a poster boy in certain ways. I've literally heard parents at a track say, I hope my child does not drive like Max Verstappen. And I've literally seen kids at the track drive like Max Verstappen, and other adults pointed out that kid drives like Max Verstappen. And they're not meaning it in a good way. They mean he's reckless, and they're looking at the officials to note him or her, which mostly is him, for a flag, because they're bumping, they're doing all types of questionable things, they're going into turns, they're causing collisions, they're causing not even first turn bind up, hell, any turn bind up. Yeah. We don't want them to be replaced. And guess what? Max has not reached such a level in the sport like Lewis Hamilton or Schumacher or Fangio, to the point where he's going to be tremendously missed to that degree. He hasn't reached that yet. He hasn't. That's true too. That's not even an opinion. Next one is the save of the year. The save of the year by Max Verstappen in Mexico. Whoa. Love how the crowd was literally trying to help him stay out of the wall, and went wild when he did. So now a delusion has went to Hogwarts. Now we're not only delusional, but we're with Gandalf somewhere in the ring trying to save the world with mysterious magical powers. The crowd literally trying to help him stay out of the wall. Hey, these people are comedy. These people are comical. This shit like this is funny to me. I felt like this was the perfect time for us to review such said shenanigans that are often posted on social media. Max Verstappen delusional fans, for sure. In response to that, you can hear one lady willing him, but no one else. Literally, nobody went wild except maybe her. No Red Bull fans in the frame. Come on, fake news level reporting. Max is the best, but we do not need fake support. What you see here in this comment, and one delusional fan of Max Verstappen might go to attack this person, but if you realize what they said, Max is the best. This is one of those objective Max Verstappen fans. I don't even mind this fan feeling like Max is the best. But you can tell this is a Max Verstappen fan, but an objective, realistic Max Verstappen fan. Whatever you said in this previous post is a lie. There was not a whole crowd with, and I saw the shot. I couldn't even see more than 2 or 3 Red Bull fans in that frame, so they are right about that. And it was just that one person going wild. And come on, fake news level reporting. They're not with the Trump shit either. So that's why I tell you all, there are legitimate, objective, cool Max Verstappen fans. And although you might not like Max Verstappen and they might like Max Verstappen, there are parts of Max Verstappen's driving that they don't agree with. And there are things that Max Verstappen does on track that they don't accept. Just that is why I don't indict all fans that might support 33. Because this is just true. They're not all delusional. They're not all delusional. The next one we got up here is Max Verstappen could have saved the Titanic. Max Verstappen could have saved the Titanic. First, that might be a bit disrespectful because it's totally not true. Max Verstappen barely wants to keep a car that is engineered to be aerodynamically efficient, almost superior, with the utmost respect and attentive attention in trying to have the most traction on track, and he still manages to find a way to go into a turn uncontrollably, lose traction, cut grass, and lose the escape route, and then cut positions. He's definitely not saving the Titanic. He's not going to be able to save a boat and that's floating through the water and hits an iceberg. Max Verstappen could have saved the Titanic. You're serious. You are serious because you put that, but you're absolutely incorrect. And this is what I mean by delusional Max Verstappen fans. Max is not saving the Titanic. And I'm going to tell you this. If you go back and watch while you're all praising it, Max was along for the ride on that. There was very little input that Max had there more than the laws of physics. Don't be on the throttle, and hopefully we will have enough resistance from the grass and our air to manage this car traveling at such a speed that it will eventually hook up and not smack this wall. Max was along for the ride. Max had very little input on how that car was going to either keep going or not going. So all it is, Max just... No, come on. He's fortunate that shaved off some speed and that car, fortunately, lost enough speed to where it could pick up some type of traction in grass and manage not to smack that wall. These people are really out here. These people are really out here. Save the Titanic. Wow. That shit's crazy. It's crazy, yo. Here we go right here. This is one of the best photos of the week that I saw. Max Verstappen on an Oracle Red Bull lawnmower, cutting up grass. That was a very good one. This was a very good one I saw on social media. That was a pretty damn good one. They did a good job on that one. There's another one that we're gonna see here, but that one is good. That one was really good. The lawnmower, Max Verstappen with the number 1 on it. And I think that actually might be a John Deere or a Toro. Julius Taylor says, all fake-ass FIA actors saying this bullshit. Hey, bro, 100%. Also, do not forget, tomorrow we do have a grudge race. That link is already up. We will have the grudge race. Be there if you want to. Be in the live chat 15 to 20 minutes before the scheduled time. So that if you're going to request that, you can. 083 in the super chat says, Jay, guess who was voted the most marketable athlete in the world? I'll give you a hint. His initials start with LH. Oh, man. Sir Lewis Hamilton? More than likely right, yes. Now I wonder who that person is. Can it be a 7-time F1 champion? Yep, I'm right. Facts, because it's definitely not Max. Definitely. And people continue to want to believe. This is why I was saying what I said earlier, Zero, that when Max Verstappen leaves the sport, there's not going to be a big void in the sport. There's not going to be some big hoorah of a send-off. He hasn't accomplished that yet. Not saying he can't, not saying he won't, not damning it, what his career could be, not even damning him to finally maybe one day bump his head, have amnesia, wake up and decide to be a different person. I'm just saying he hasn't reached it yet. Oscar in the super chat says, they say Max Verstappen, great-grandpa, was driving the Titanic. Then he failed. And that might make more sense. If Max Verstappen's great-grandfather was steering or piloting or captaining the Titanic, that actually would make more sense, right? Because it's been speculated that the crashing or the wrecking of the Titanic was also an insurance scam. That actually the Titanic was was another boat, and the new Titanic was not. And then that boat was put in on insurance, and they claimed that money and doubled up. And also, a lot of investors that were supposedly with that, except for the Chase, who didn't make the trip, wasn't on the boat, and the boat wrecked for some reason. So that would make a lot more sense with those kind of, theories out there. And then the fact that you didn't save it, that would make more sense actually to me. The long time heritage of wrecking it is racing. I would be more inclined to believe that for sure. Next one up, more like the crime of the year in response to the save of the year. There is a lot of space right there for Max. Good space, as it's highlighted right here and annotated in this picture. Circled is that Red Bull car, the one over the 33, Max Verstappen. There's a lot of space there, Max. You know why Max couldn't even stay on the black stuff? He could stay even on the off-track area where he could have still stayed in the race. It's because Max uncontrollably went into turn one and had no control over his car, which is actually an article in the regulations that he breached. You're supposed to remain in control of your car all the time. Max didn't have control over this car at any point in time when this fiasco right there happened. But he wasn't even noted or cited. And there's a lot of good space right there. Thank you very much for also highlighting the apex. And yeah, game position. Didn't give positions. Definitely the position you should have gave. And I think it's pretty egregious. So yeah, more like crime of the year again. And I want to also be clear with this. Oscar and everybody here. It is largely also true that I'm going to say this. Max Verstappen is going to have a tail of questionable stains in his Formula One docu. Brother, you not only take chances and go into turns you can't make uncontrollably, you got asymmetric braking, that's wrong. You have breaching the cost cap, that's definitely wrong. You got the scandal, that's wrong. You also have a bit of, shall we say, FIA assistance throughout the seasons that you've been racing. That looks suspect. And then this happens and you don't even get noted. Yeah, it's not going to be. It's always going to be there. And it's going to be talked about louder. And these things will get even more loud as he walks out of the sport. Controversy and debate. It's going to follow him. And it is who he is, but he doesn't care. He's not going to change it. It is Max. Max is Max. Right here, one of the many things Brundle, or a few things Brundle can say that might be looked at as, okay, it's about damn time. You got your head out of your ass. Verstappen was a drive-through. I would have given a severe punishment to put an end to this silliness. Leclerc, a 10-second penalty. Martin Brundle on Leclerc and Verstappen going on the grass and taking an advantage. Well, you kind of take that with a grain of salt from Brundle. He has his moments. I like Ted a bit more with his takes. Brundle can be a little, yeah. But Leclerc 10-second penalty, I think so. I don't think Lewis Hamilton shouldn't even got a 10-second penalty whatsoever. Leclerc, if Lewis deserved a 10-second penalty, then Leclerc deserved 15 or 20. And Max Verstappen itself is just clear as that. I think still, even today, many people have a horrible or bad thought or taste in their mouth about what took place in Mexico. I've noticed that even people that are not fans of Lewis Hamilton are questioning how legitimate is it this sport for that to happen, because they're watching the race and they're not even thinking about Lewis Hamilton getting a penalty. They're thinking we're going to find out who all is going to be investigated for all of that debacle. And then they see Lewis Hamilton, they see the notes, they see nobody cited. There are people that are not Ferrari fans and they're not Lewis Hamilton fans that are looking at the sport right now saying, should I even keep watching the rest of this season? Just saying, it's real. It is real. Having balls and going for a non-existent gap are different things. And yes, they are, which is what I was talking about earlier. Having balls and just doing reckless things are not synonymous to each other. It's not synonymous. You know, people also agree with that. That those two just don't have to be hand in hand. I'm not saying you can't have balls and do something reckless, but I'm saying doing something reckless doesn't always require balls. It could just be that you're completely inconsiderate and you're just a bully, right? You're gonna go out here and do and you're entitled. You feel that you can do these things with little punishment. And then this one was a good one. At least you have a drink in your hand. I like the Netflix movie cover, The Big Fix, a story about a time where the FIA was lost its integrity, starring Michael Massey, Lewis Hamilton, December 12th. Yo, this right here was classic. This was funny. And then you got the Mickey Mouse Winter Cup in Max Verstappen's hand. This one was so damn legitly funny. I was rolling when I saw this. Was creative for real. The person really took some time to make this. Look at the FIA logo on the cufflink of the hand and the shirt. The puppeteer sticks with the strings on the trophy of the championship for the driver's championship. This is right here. This was creative. That was absolutely creative. I'm telling you. I really enjoyed seeing this. This took some creativity. I liked it. This was actually great to me. I don't know what you think, but this was actually pretty fucking funny. All right, then we got the next one right here. Says, I will never consider Max among the F1 greats. Can't race fairly, can't race wheel to wheel, doesn't like competition, doesn't like a strong teammate. All of those things are facts. All of those things are facts. He can't race fairly. He doesn't race fairly. He can't race wheel to wheel. We've seen Max wheel to wheel driving. It is not superb. He doesn't like competition because Red Bull consistently keeps that away from his teammates. And he doesn't like a strong teammate. Right here you have in this post, which I didn't block out the people who did this one. It says, Sergio Perez, it doesn't matter if you bring in Red Bull. If you bring Hamilton or Leclerc in the Red Bull, everyone would face massive problems. Red Bull builds cars entirely around Max's preferences. His driving style is extremely specific, and the setup is tailored completely to him. This is something we've been talking about. This is why we've been saying the second seat. Red Bull have pretty much limited themselves to one driver, effectively one driver, being efficiently effective in any race, which is Max Verstappen. That is a flaw. That is a mistake. And it's something that's cost them Constructor Championships and it's costing them now. It's a mistake. They definitely messed up with that. It's what happens when you get too caught up in the awe and we just got to do everything with him and it'll be great. No, it won't. You did everything with Max and now you're not great as a team. You've lost that as a team. And that's what happens when you build a Max-centric car in two of those cars. And I've always thrown the debate out there that you do not have to do that to be a Formula One team. And there's always purists saying, no, that's the best way. You gotta design both cars. You can design both cars to be fast, but you can tailor nuances in each car toward the drivers. And when people say that's not efficient, they're lying. And they're caught up in a bunch of bullshit hogwash of, no, it's just, this is the standard. We just stand it. No, it's not true. It's not what you have to do. We literally have seen teams do different things to their cars for their drivers. We've literally seen teams go back revisions on setup for cars because it facilitated a better driving style for the driver versus the other teammates. So it's stop the shenanigans and stop trying to say things that you think sound good and make you sound as if you're some F1 guru when it's not true. Posers. And this one, just for fun and giggles, I thought it would be good. Saluting Lando Norris, but I thought it was just drastically showing how much Lewis Hamilton is far better than anybody that's been in Formula One. Lando joins the double-digit wins club with 10. They're not lying. It is a double digit, but damn, 10. Fernando Alonso with 32, and Max Verstappen with 68, and Lewis Hamilton with a whopping 105. That post right there with those numbers listed really give you some perspective to say, damn, that dude is that great. Lewis Hamilton, I'm talking about. While Max Verstappen still at 68, while having one of the most dominant cars in Formula One history for several seasons, and the FIA on the side, still hasn't surpassed Max. Max still hasn't surpassed Lewis Hamilton on a lot of these historical stats and accomplishments and things that actually make you the GOAT. It's not there yet. And Lewis Hamilton has had 4 seasons where you might be able to accumulate 2 to 3 race wins, if that. And Max still has not gotten there. That means Lewis has been on a 4-year vacation because of the teams, and he's still up there. Yeah, well, if you say that's not great, then I know you can't call Max great. And I get tired of people just throwing the great word around as if it's a piece of candy in a mint jar. Just take one. You want to be great? Take a piece of candy. You're great. You're great. You're great. The Oprah Winfrey. You're great. You're great. Everybody's getting great. They got to stop throwing this term around so loosely. Lewis Hamilton is great. And if Lewis Hamilton is great because of his accomplishments, because of his stature, because of his aura, because of his social presence, because of what he's done in the sport and out of the sport, because of what he's accomplished in the sport, because of how many championships he has, because of how many records he has, Max Verstappen is not great. You could be more correct saying he's on his way to greatness. He's not great. He's fucking definitely not the GOAT. And every time you have somebody that wants to debate that, pull out facts. And you know what happens? They get even more delusional with their premises. It happens all the time. So just thought it was funny. Congratulations, Lando. Not only did it take you a lot of coddling and a lot of team orders to get to 10. I don't know what it's going to take to get you to 32. And I noticed the two guys in the middle of that, Max, 2021 scandal, and Fernando Alonso is one of his besties who will say anything glowing about Max in the media. Crashgate, another scandal. Birds of a feather flock together. 083 in the Super Chat says, I never seen anyone drive to cars at the same time Red Bull has painted themselves into a corner, and it's going to take years to get out of it. 083, that is true. That is true, bro. It's going to take some time to dig out of it. And that's another thing. When Max leaves, that they have made a deal with the devil that will cost them for seasons here on out, is pretty much what has happened. They've made a deal with the devil that's going to cost them for seasons here on out. That's where they are. That's where they've put themselves as far as moving forward as a team. That's exactly where they've put themselves. And you never know. Maybe something happens where a catalyst of change takes place and some mind develops something that will project or get Red Bull over that. And it could happen. I mean, we're in a sport of development and ingenuity. So this is a problem-solving sport. They're there to solve problems. And it's not to say that somebody won't solve that problem. But I don't foresee that happening in such a fashion in which we've seen happening right now. So, yeah, it is what it is. And like I said, delusional people are out here, completely delusional. But Max Verstappen's not delusional about who he is. He knows exactly who he is. But yeah, when you see things like these crazy posts, he could have saved the Titanic. It's wild. It is wild when people say this, but this is the best picture of the week right here. Max Verstappen mowing grass in a John Deere Red Bull lawnmower. That is awesome right there. So, yeah, big shout out to everybody pulling up for live chat. Dreads, Mary Beanie, 083. Who else we got up in here? Darth, big shout out. We also had Oscar, Incredible Facts Quest, big shout out to you. DG Big Blue, Julius Taylor, all the fam pulling up. Galactus pulling up in here. Do not forget, we do have a grudge race. Miss Dino also up in the house. Tori tackling in the house. We do have a grudge race tomorrow. Be here because we're going to be racing. And you know our races are pretty much just as entertaining, okay? And it is also fine. So, yeah, I enjoy. Hey, and I want to show y'all something else because I'm going to tell you this real quick. Check this out. This one right here, this right here that you'll see, Max Verstappen could have saved the Titanic. That would have took a magic trick. But I can do a magic trick. Watch this. Abracadabra. There it is. You see the magic trick? I do them all the time. I I like to do magic tricks. I like to do magic tricks like that. Did y'all see the magic trick? It just disappeared. It just disappeared. Did you see that? It disappeared. Hey, it's like I made a whole submarine disappear. I made a whole submarine just disappear. Y'all probably didn't even notice. They'll notice though. So big shout out to everybody. Nothing like this picture right here. I'm telling you, it's probably one of the best pictures of the week. One of the best pictures that I've seen done besides for the Mickey Mouse right there. Well, that's a pretty damn good one. That one's pretty damn good too. I think we got to end on this one. We got to end on the lawnmower. The lawnmower was absolutely awesome. We got to end on that one. So remember, chat, time does change. Tomorrow, as Galactus pointed out, and I just saw, the time does change. So set your clocks accordingly. I think we fall back. So the time will still remain the same for the race because that YouTube clock adjusts to whatever 11:30 is going to be, is what 11:30 is going to be. But you might need to wake up a little bit earlier if you're going to do some practicing. Just kind of get your clock, your body clock on spot with the actual clocks. And I don't know what's going to happen when Atlas gets here. We'll see what happens in November coming up soon. Next week, I think it is, or the week after, we should have an astronomical event or astrology event taking place. I don't know if we're going to be able to see the comet, what we're going to see, but if you're in a hemisphere where you can actually view its passing, that could be cool for you. So, yeah, Max Verstappen on lawnmower. Max Verstappen is reckless. The FIA are definitely helping. These fans are delusional, but not all fans are delusional. And I will see you tomorrow or maybe even later today on the next one. Peace. Oh, Mary Beanie, I got you, Mary Beanie. Mary Beanie says, hey, Jay, you got a troll bringing up ad assholes. Hey, Mary Beanie, don't worry. I done already took care of some of that. All right, see y'all later. Peace.